Warpugs, we are at the end of an era. This has been a fun trip. This has been a really, really enjoyable journey. But it has come to an end. And what better way to end it than talking about the Dungeon Master? We have seen JoCat tell us about every class. We've seen him talk about alignments, races, and finally the character sheet. But now he's going to talk about the one behind the panel, the Dungeon Master. All hail the Dungeon Master if you want good rolls, or if he's a sadistic jerk, just know that you're going to be having a very, very interesting time trying to figure out how to survive from the Dungeon Master who thinks the game is meant to just kill everybody. Don't like things like that. Warpugs, this has been a very fun exploration of this entire series. Troy requested this I saw this requested in the other request channel, and this series has been so much fun walking down memory lane of when I was able to play tabletop games, and it's just been an enjoyable series overall. I'm really sad to see this coming to an end, to be honest with you. But here we are. Warpugs, let's get into this. This is the culmination. I'm just going to read this. This is the culmination of 2 years of the strange and crass and silly series I'm proud of, and 3 years doing this crazy job and still baffled by. No doubt. I'm always baffled by this, the lore channel, everything. Thank you to everyone who's joined me on this journey, whether it be from my very first video on this channel or from discovering me in the past week. The thought that I brought smiles to people or introduced so many people to this wonderful pastime, or even some that just like what I do, is a thought that I will cherish for the rest of my life. I can tell you guys this is not inaccurate for me. This isn't inaccurate for anyone that really enjoys this platform. One of my favorite things to do, and one of the reasons I started doing this, is because, especially the lore, I really like watching people check out my lore videos for the first time. Not so much the early ones. I like it when they check out the later ones. Not so much the early ones because I'm internally cringing at how bad I am in them. But, I mean, for me, Warpugs, let's just get into this. It's Dungeon Master time. Let's go.
So you've got a character sheet all written out and a couple of friends who want to play D&D, but you're missing one vital component. The world, the characters, the laws of physics everyone's going to break to make for cool moments you'll commission artists on the internet to draw for you. But such a role requires leadership, initiative, a total willingness to have a bunch of children stomp on all your ideas in favor of doing funny memes and stupid scenarios, despite all...
I wrote 30 pages at 8-point font for a storyline that was destroyed in 2 minutes of play.
That such a title has an extremely low barrier to entry and is probably the most important thing at your entire role-playing table, and without one the game will not exist. So anybody and everybody should perform the duty at least once for the sake of their fellow players begging for a chance to experience this wonderful pastime, so long as I don't have to be the one to do it. What? Fine. Welcome to a crap guide to Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes. Wait a minute.
The Dungeon Master, or Game Master if you like clay in your soup, is the mind behind the magic and who decides just about everything that happens in the game besides the player's own choices. Your role as a DM is to control and describe literally every single little detail that happens during the game, as you are the game. The game cannot exist without a Dungeon Master.
True.
As the DM, you call the shots based on how the rules work, or if you don't like the rules and say, shoot that poot, and come up with your own. Otherwise, how else are you supposed to know if your rules lawyering player is giving you correct information and isn't just making an elaborate manipulative plot to trick you into giving them a pet displacer beast? Fortunately for you, if you aren't sure or don't remember how a certain rule works, you can always just look it up, because being a good DM is about applying information, not memorizing it, unlike the American education system. Outside of the rules, though, you are the...
Don't get me started on the education system. Do not.
Bridge between the players and the fantasy world they're playing in, describing everything that's going on in excruciating detail, like a radio show, but with a lot more awkward pauses. Everything they fuck, marry, or kill is through the context of how you describe it, which means you have to be incredibly deliberate with your vocabulary and respect the Oxford comma, or else you might make the wrong translation of what's going on in your brain to the players, who may then think the innocent bystander NPC is actually a murderer, because you accidentally stuttered when voicing them, saying they were just doing their tasks. There are quite a few ways information can be put across to the players, and it all comes down to the DM's preferred style of presentation! Many pop culture depictions of the nerd ritual often show an ornately carved and treated mahogany table, players dressed in professional cosplay on par with 2000s Hollywood costumes, atmospheric mood lighting that'll make a hardcore dom blush, background music and ambience that's like a spa day for your ear canals, and detailed miniatures, maps, and set pieces painted by angels using brushes made from the nose hairs of the gods. Now, do you
Any mini that I ever paint is going to look like an absolute disaster.
You need all these fancy, expensive, and superfluous amounts of presentation and stimulus in order to have a worthwhile Dungeons & Dragons experience for your players? Of course you do. Fork it over, bitch.
No.
Your wallet could lose a few
You
extra
don't.
pounds. But even with
The best DM I ever played with was a guy named Scott. Best DM ever. He was really, really good at setting a tone. We didn't even have a hexagonal board. We just didn't have it. We just had our character sheets in the books, and that was it. No miniatures, just dice, character sheets, and books. That was it. And it still remains to this date the most enjoyable experiences I've had in gaming.
With all the fanciest of theatrics, every dungeon master has to rely on the ever-prevalent theater of the mind, where everyone has to use their imagination to visualize what's happening in your grand spanking fantasy world. So a game of D&D doesn't have to cost hundreds of dollars and can be anything from a massive theatrical event to a hangout with the bros with cardboard cutout minis to even sitting in a restaurant with napkins for character sheets and the salt and pepper shakers or the evil queen of spice and her angry white steed. No matter what, you'll always eventually have to rely on the most useful creation of all mankind that can raise armies and fell nations. Words. Never underestimate the power of a good thesaurus, because inevitably there will be a situation where all your fancy props won't suffice and you will have to learn how to use Old English vernacular. As the DM, most of your responsibility all boils down to allowing the players to interact with your grand spankin' fantasy world. And how they do that can be summarized in one simple action: rolling dice. When a player wants to do something, anything, the DM is the one who decides if the player rolls dice, what dice they roll, and the outcome of the roll of the dice. Then just about everything else is an extension of that one single responsibility.
Very
which is
true.
why nobody wants to do it, because one single responsibility is far too many. An extension of that, the DM is the encyclopedia of the D&D game.
Big book of, hold on, let me pretend to look that up, but I'm really just stalling for time when I come up with something. Yes, this is 90% of the job.
If there's history in the world, it's the DM's job to know it. When the players are fighting bad guys, it's the DM's job to keep track of the enemy's abilities, hit points, and sexual orientation, just in case, you never know. If a player resurrects their long-dead uncle, it's the DM's job to have read their backstory to know said uncle was a drunk rocketeer who eats horseshoe crabs. And when the players bring up how the plot and characters are oddly similar to Lord of the Rings, it's the DM's job to kick their ass. The scariest part about being a dungeon master, however, is the improv. Since you can't anticipate every single possible possibility the players can possibly make possible, you have to think on the fly and figure out how those possible things could be possible. If the player character tries to eavesdrop on somebody, you have to come up with what they hear. If somebody eats too many beans and farts, you gotta come up with how it smells. And if the party decides to run off some other direction rather than the main plot, you have to come up with what they run into. Like another town, or a dangerous hag, or even the main plot, because you moved it over there since the giant glowing breadcrumbs in the shape of story progress this way wasn't obvious enough. If you
I DM'd for a group one time, and quite seriously put, you could point to the plot with neon signs, and you could just seriously it's over here. We need to go over here. We need to go over here. Thousands upon thousands of times. And not one person in this gaming group would get it. It led to some of those awful wall improv that I had to do. This was all like the aforementioned plot that got destroyed. I set this up as best as I could. I set this up the best that I could. They found an old helmet and detected magic on it. They found out that it was magical. Nobody bothered to do anything with it, and the helmet was sold to... They sold it to a merchant at the cost of a regular helmet. And I just sat there and I looked at them and I was like, okay, cool beans. I tried to get this helmet back in their hands 6 different times. 6 different times. Never took it. Never took it. Nobody ever had it in their pack. Nobody had it in their pack. Nobody had. There was so many triggers that would have set this plot off. And finally, at the end of the day, by the time I figured out how to work this stupid helmet into the whole thing, the two characters that it kind of revolved around had gotten themselves killed in a really interesting fashion that involved halflings.
You think you can prepare pre-written answers for every possible question the players could come up with? I'm gonna have to stop you right there because no the fuck you can't. Somebody at some point in time will do something that'll turn your no-pants bad dreams into a reality, and you gotta figure out then and there whether you're gonna get a new pair or just roll with it while the players see your metaphorical junk swaying in the breeze. So with all that easy to digest and totally not intimidating stack of expectations that doesn't even scratch the surface of what it takes to be a dungeon master out of the way, the question now becomes, how does one even start being a dungeon master?
No, don't just do it. You suffer. Suffering is the ambrosia of life.
Do it! No matter what, you'll want a copy of the player handbook, since it has a majority of the most common rules. As far as actual content goes, though, the most baby-friendly way is to purchase a pre-written adventure, one of these buggers, which will usually have a plot, characters, encounters, villains, and plenty of faffing about material for your players. However, if that's too much punishment on your wallet, the natural safe word is making a campaign of your own. The thing about safe words, though, is it often stops things in their tracks, so it will require you to come up with most of the aforementioned plot, characters, encounters, villains, and faffing material yourself, which can take anywhere from a night of binge writing to never, because you only ever think about your ideas and never write it down. Either way you go with, once you have the skeleton of your campaign ready, you've got to start filling it with internal organs. And as anyone who's taken biology can tell you, organs are gross and messy and can often go misplaced, so you just have to substitute a kidney with a moldy sponge for a bit while you go find it. That is until suddenly the blood cells start making friends with the sponge and it becomes more effective than an actual kidney and you start to question everything you've ever learned in school. So good fucking luck figuring out how to balance spending time preparing to run a campaign and spending time actually running a campaign. Do you spend entire weeks drawing maps, writing possible paths and dialogue options for characters down to the description of their cousin's boyfriend's dog's favorite chew toy? Or do you just spend the week doing some faffing about of your own and then spend the final half hour leading up to the session time frantically writing down bits from a D&D random content generator? But hey, once you get a game going, the rest should come naturally. Just take it all one step at a time, and you can especially relax whenever the players start to roleplay and act on their own, because then you can just sit back and relax and let them have their fun, and you don't even have to do dialogue for any NPCs or lore dump on them, or fuck, the rogue tried to steal the paladin's rosary beads. Yes, the Tales underbelly of being a dungeon master is dealing with the barnacle infestation that is being the de facto babysitter of the group, and then you gotta bring out the scraper of social obligation. In some situations, more than others, the DM is expected to have a significant amount of say in organizing the playgroup, since you have something of a larger leadership role for the game to exist than the players. You're who the players will look to when arguing over who gets the loot. You will be expected to have a bigger say on when the next session time will be, and you are the one who's expected to kick out the guy who's overriding your descriptions of a pleasant-smelling flower garden with the rankness of his workout stank. This means that you cannot take a passive role as a DM. You have control over the fan, and if you see shit flying towards it, you're gonna be expected to turn that fan off before the place really starts to smell like a medieval castle street. With all of that said, I still could not possibly cover the grand mountain climb that is explaining what it takes to be a dungeon master, not to mention what it takes to be a good dungeon master. And I've seduced enough tall folk to make Kanchenjunga horny for me. But I believe the best possible way to show you what it takes to be a dungeon master would be a demonstration of those undergarment moistifying skills I possess. Lucky for your thirsty butts, I've set up a D&D session with a bunch of nerds, and demonstrate I shall. Alright, Unexpectables, you walk into a tavern, a crowd has gathered, and everyone seems to be having a good time, all except a mysterious hooded figure in the center of the room that nobody except you all seem to notice. What do?
I want to smash the barkeeper!
I want to smash the barkeeper.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to have a chat with the hooded figure? Who knows, it may tie into one of your backstories.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. DM, could you look over these notes I have about my backstory? It's only a
This is accurate.
few pages long, but I wanted to make sure to keep the authenticity of my homeland as the center point of my character development.
What the hell? This is a fucking novel. I'm not reading all of this.
Oh yeah, speaking of, I wanted to check in with you about this new homebrew I created for one of my backstory's characters. I ran it by a couple of friends and they seem to think it's pretty balanced, so no need to worry about looking over it too much.
Oh, no. I know what you're trying to do, you scruffy looking...
Hey, DM, are there any Goliaths in the tavern? No particular reason, I just wanted to know.
Dude, yeah, are there any? I've been looking for a surfing buddy for some time. We're at the beach, right? Oh, I wasn't really paying attention. Could you set the scene again?
Whatever. I'll get back to you guys later. Dawn Wright, have you made up your minds about that ambush yet? That guy you've been targeting for the past 3 sessions is right there, enjoying his dwarvish drink.
Oh boy, I surely am enjoying my dwarvish drink.
Look, whenever we take a single decision like going to the left or to the right, it goes wrong. We need to have 100% flawless plan.
Oh, maybe we can go talk with him? But if things go wrong, I can use my gun.
When the fuck did the blind dragonborn get a gun? I don't remember giving him a gun. Has he always had a gun?
Just one guy. Why don't I just sneak up on him and poison his drink? I have a +10 to stealth, plus advantage with my cloak of invisibility. And add on another 10 if Franz uses his pass without a trace. No one will ever see me, and we can avoid this whole encounter.
Or I can use this gun.
How many times must you terrify my sweet bottoms, you upright marsupial?
I'll give you...
I have so much confusion, but at the same time, yes, I really do.
6 minutes and 44 seconds. If you don't come to an agreement on a plan, I'm feeding your minis to the Wigglers. Group Stupid, you follow into the tavern as well, and you see the mysteriously hooded figure, now eyeballing you down and casting a menacing visage. They gesture towards 5 open seats and say that you should go...
So who's the most expensive looking dude here?
I don't fucking know. There's a noble in the corner of the room, sure, but he's busy talking with somebody else right now, so maybe you should probably...
I'm already there. I intimidated him to challenge me to an arm wrestling match for all his golden belongings.
Hey, absurd. You could use charm person. I mean, that would cause a charm status, which would give you advantage on any social...
I asked him to give us all of his money.
Absurd.
I rolled an 11.
Well, that's really more of a help action, which actually...
What the fuck? I didn't even ask you to roll yet.
But I did it already. Look, an 11 is good. We are friends now. Everyone likes absurd.
I intimidated him to challenge me to an arm wrestling match for all his golden belongings.
Fucking fine. You start to...
The bad thing about it is, I've been in a game like this before. I don't know how the DM stopped himself from strangling everybody at that table. I was there for 1 session. 6 people, including myself. The session started, and we didn't even get to character introductions because, well, not character introductions. We didn't even get outside of really the tavern for like 2.5 hours where the game started because quite literally everybody kept on trying to do stuff and I did nothing. And the DM only did 1 game session.
Arm wrestle him for some of his gold.
Oh, I already stole it all. Also, he might be cursed because, you know, backstory stuff.
Alright, sure. In the meantime, the hooded figure in the middle of the room that everyone decided to totally ignore transforms into a massive towering titan, and the roof of the tavern is blown off, revealing
Evilus Maximus, the demon lord of darkness.
Vilius Maximus? Now, my Latin's a little bit rusty, but that name seems a little bit on the nose.
I know who you are. I know who you are.
It sounds to me like he's actually ripping off the Pope's title of Pontifex Maximus.
Did he really get her to come in here and voice act? Overly sarcastic? That's great.
Maximus, so maybe we should be on our guard for some vile bishops and dastardly cardinals.
No, he's not. Shut up. He looks down upon you all, and with a snap of his fingers, everyone's magical items disappear.
Oh, what? This is outrageous. This is unfair. I demand to roll an opposing skill check.
Ooh, this is the classic weaken your opponent before the showdown strategy used by the really egomaniacal bad guys. He wants to demonstrate that we're over-reliant on our magic items as a sort of condescending attack on our self-worth. Watch, next he's gonna say, your puny trinkets won't save you now.
Your puny trinkets won't save you now,
he said.
I'm in agony. Sorry, guys, my eyes started burning there. I need to go rinse them out because I don't know why. My eyes are just burning. They're still kind of burning. Don't really know why. Let's go.
As holding all your loot in a glowing orb in his grip.
Ooh, textbook orb strategy.
Stop making comparable analysis. Evilus then casts hold person on all patrons of the tavern. Everyone needs to roll a
counterspell, counterspell, counterspell. Hey, did you see this new ad for an over-the-table dictionary? What's it called? Counterspell.
Fucking how many counterspells do you even have?
All of them?
Yeah. No way, you really don't have that many.
Come on.
Bullshit. Let me see your character sheet.
No.
Let me see it.
No.
Let me see it, damn
No!
Give it to me,
You can't. As a Beastmaster, Warlock, Fighter, Sorcerer multi-class, I'd like to use my Beast movement to carry me to the enemy, then have them attack the enemy, then use my Familiar's action to use the Help action, then cast Haste on myself, cast Eldritch Blast as a quicken spell, use Action Surge to put a light on my Beast's nose, and attack with my hasted action.
Okay.
Oh, sweet. My Shield Guardian spell procs, because he targeted me with a spell. So that's going to be a Faithful Hound right on Evilus's heels. Now that it's my turn, my sweet, sweet pup is definitely going to have a munch. And then I'll have the Guardian run up and slap him, and then I'll use my 9th level spell slot to conjure... Wait, hold on. 32 enormous constrictor snakes. You keep...
This really is giving me flashbacks to one gaming session. It really is. I'm not even kidding.
Keeping track of all these initiatives, right? Don't forget that I also have 2 horses, a mastiff, and 6 chickens.
Oh, actually, I still have my movement. Can I dodge as a free action?
The dog's name is Cheese Puff, by the way.
Joel, can I play this?
Why? Why do you need a Tarask?
To sort that out, I'm going to try to scam as many people as possible out of their coin.
Whoa, hold up there, you oversized crow. You said you were lawful good.
Oh, no. I said I was a half-elven town guard turned hospice nurse and non-lethal hedge knight. But, you know, I can understand the confusion. Besides, I don't believe in alignment anyway. I'm trying to get my scam on. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, may you lend me your ears. I have here in my hand one of the finest brews in all...
Okay, so as I stand up in a chair, everyone looks at me. I smile charmingly and everyone starts cheering already. As I pull out a 12-corded ukulele...
Excuse you, who's the DM here?
Oh, you, of course, but in this scenario, I will have to roll persuasion or performance, and if I pass a DC check 15, I will charm everyone around me into following my every command. Doing this will allow my character to start its own company, creating profits through the selling of a very specific...
No.
Don't worry, everyone. Just think of all the friends we've helped through our journey and the ties between our hearts that will help us defeat Evilus Maximus. In the name of Saloon, I will punish you. Believe it.
Can I stab her and take all her stuff?
Later.
Hey, DM, not that it actually happened, but hypothetically, if I lost a dice set you let me borrow, would you happen to have another one?
I swear, I have the perfect theme music for this exact situation. Just hold on 1 second, I'll find it.
Music! Good idea. My furball pulls out their ukulele and begins to sing to the villain. Hey, you with the villainous smile, why don't you come and stay and get to know me a while? We're 2 of a kind, 2 sides of a coin. Well, I got no tail, I could give you some.
Alrighty, I think that's enough barding for now. I said that's enough.
I feel as though we haven't really sussed out the emotional stakes here. I mean, who is Evilus to us, you know?
He's the demon lord of darkness. He murders people and is awful and terrible and bad.
Or is he perhaps a metaphor? A construct representing the lasting woe that persisted after...
The horrible thing about this is actually giving me flashbacks. This is actually giving me flashbacks. Of course, this is exaggerated and far worse than what oh my god.
To the age of reason. Or maybe we are all Evilus. He's a reflection of our own inner...
Nope, shut up.
You know, we probably can't even take Evilus. According to the strategy guide, he commands 4 krakens made of, like, pure gold, which are actually lawful neutral, by the way. So they're technically not even evil, and they serve an evil lord, which is interesting because...
Hey, stop reading the official campaign setting.
How's he funding all this?
I think I have a general...
I should
Okay, shut up!
I should make pudding pretzels tonight.
Evilus Maximus has you all completely surrounded and begins to speak.
Foolish mortals, I've lived for 1,000 lifetimes, and once I'm done with you, I'll continue to live 1,000 more. You are merely a blink in my existence. I felled gods and consumed worlds. Worlds which yours pales in its own inadequacy. For the darkness I've tamed this.
We've got him now, guys. I cast polymorph in the middle of his speech.
Yeah, turn him into a T-Rex. No, wait, T-Rex
I'm
is
gonna
bad.
grab
Turn him into something small. Turn him into a goldfish.
Can I persuade him to be our friend instead?
Evil Maximus, you can suck on this That is it! Shut up! Everyone shut the hell up! No, you can't talk to the barkeeper. They ignore you.
Right.
I didn't read your backstory. Your homebrew is rejected. There are no Goliaths, and pay the fuck attention next time I describe the goddamn scene. No, I'm not gonna describe it again for you. You all took too long, so your ambush fails and you fall to the floor of the tavern. Also, your target runs away.
There you go.
I never asked for a single one of you to roll, so all your dice go to waste. You don't get that gold, your intimidation fails, and you stop being a dongly-bongly rules lawyer for once. You two, stop comparing my totally original campaign to popular and historical media. I will sick the light gray walkers on you. You don't counterspell, your sheet is revoked, and no, you can't do any of whatever all that shit you were trying to do, you moldy min-max and munchkins. Nobody listens to you, and the guards show up to arrest you for disturbing the peace.
Hey, it's all right, JoCrap. There's no need to get so hostile. If you just take a moment to talk to the players, I'm sure we can all...
Nobody cares, Matt Mercer.
Oh, man.
No, 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 and no to all of your plans. And Evilus Maximus doesn't get interrupted by your spell. He conjures a giant mountain on top of the world, rocks fall, everybody dies, and that's the end of the session because nobody wanted to talk to the obviously mysterious hooded figure in the middle of the fucking room.
Mysterious
Man, that
hooded
was the
figure.
most
my-
boring game I've ever
Fine, whatever. Leave. I don't need you. I can find some other players who would be happy to play the game I meticulously planned for them. Go on and cry about it online, you dice munchin' goblin breath weirdos. This is what you get for ruining the scene. It's all your fault, you know. You're welcome. Satisfied? What the hell else was I supposed to do? If they don't want to play the game I've set up for them, then they don't deserve to play at all.
No.
Maybe, but did you ever think about the game they do want to play?
Oh.
You know, the players are just as much a part of how the session goes as you are. Part of D&D is about how anything can happen. But I planned out this whole thing for them. I even got all the books and everything. It was gonna be a sweeping story with awesome NPCs and an epic conclusion, but they're not doing what I need them to do. That's true, and maybe they never will, but that might be okay. Sure, keep in mind where you want the game to go, but not everything has to be by the books. Everyone is playing their own version of D&D, and as the DM, you have to be able to adapt to that. Saying no to everything you don't want them doing isn't going to give them an amazing experience with infinite possibilities. It's just going to make them feel like the game's better off without them. But what if I do let them do whatever they want, and things go wrong, and it gets boring, or imbalanced, or I forget something important, or the game goes south somehow, and the players don't like the session anyway? Then you go again and do better next time. And this situation right here could be a good start. Yeah, right, and what am I supposed to do, talk to the players? You can certainly try.
I need some inspirational music right about now. Something flowing and piano, like some piano, like with rising crescendo. And then we bring in the strings right when he has the character turn. Let's go.
Guys, wait. I'm sorry. I was worried that if you didn't play the way I wanted you to, that the game wouldn't be as cool or as fun as I thought it could be. I was too constricting on your agency and shouldn't have stopped you from at least attempting to do the things you wanted. And I should have talked with you and maybe come to some sort of compromise on some of the things I was really stubborn about. Being the dungeon master is just really, really scary. There's so much I have to keep track of. Coming up with things on the fly can be really hard, and I want to run the best game I can for everyone. And I'm terrified of messing things up. So sometimes I can get a bit...
Vapid?
Immature.
Anatomically confusing?
Aggressive. But I'm willing to try again, if you are. So how about it? Would you like to play some D&D?
Hey.
So, Krabby, you were saying you wanted to interrupt Evilus Maximus.
Yeah. I wanted to cast Polymorph on him in the middle of his speech.
Alright, what's your spell save DC?
15.
Against all odds, you successfully polymorph Evilus Maximus. He transforms into a meek little sheep and falls to the tavern floor. Seeing this happen, several of the tavern patrons throw up their hoods to reveal they are part of Evilus's cult. Everyone, roll for initiative.
Oh, this is fun.
This was an intensely good series. This has been an intensely good series. Amazing. Okay, so who all was in this? I know Overly Sarcastic was in this. Takahata was in this. Gaijin Goomba, I really like. So I've been trying to get a hold of Gaijin Goomba because there's been some requests for his Orc series, and I just haven't been able to get a hold of him. Crescito, Octopimp, Monty Glue, Yoroshin, Brachiozoid, Boo Rad 13, Sir Malric, Caitlin 37, Terrence Dry. I haven't heard of some of these people. I really haven't. That's the great thing about YouTube. There's always more to find. There's always more to discover. There's always more great stories that you have not yet seen. Zebracho Felix, Puffin Forest as Absurd, Dingo Doodles as Stips, Overly Sarcastic Productions, OSP Red, OSP Blue. I didn't know they were separate. David Chappie. Barbarian Rootsmith. This Jack Girl, Aiden Kanaku. Listen while you work, plain simple. Reba Derps. I like that name. Cool Boy Shane, Fetz Bleb, Cammy Cat, Crit Crab, The Loading Crew, Jack Kaiser. I'm pretty sure I've heard of Jack Kaiser. And Matthew Mercer. Do not crucify me. The only one that I really know out of this group that I 100% know is OSP Red. That is the only one I 150% know. This was a really good series, guys. This was a really good, a really fun series. I hate that it's come to an end. I honestly do. I honestly do. Warpugs. I have seen some series on this channel. I have seen a good amount. And every single time one comes to an end, I'm just sitting here feeling all nostalgic because especially when it ends closed like this, where I know I'm not going to get anything else. I'm not going to see anything else. JoCat did an amazing job with this series. And the sheer fact of the matter is, this is the kind of stuff that really enhances everything about a family. It really does. I've had a lot of fun watching this and sharing stories from time that I actually did play tabletop and times that I really, really enjoyed playing tabletop. One of these days, and I've actually thought about running a session and putting it on YouTube. I've thought about doing that several times. I just never know how I'm going to make the time for it because I don't have much time for a lot of things. And it's something that I wish I had, like, one of these days, I may be able to do it. And that would be so much fun just to be able to, like, not even play a game again, just to run a game again. It's just one of those things where you just, I don't know how to describe it. You just sit around and you use your head and come up with the most outlandish storylines, some of the coolest stuff that you wish that you could. Like, for me, I just always wish that I knew how to do, I wish I knew how to do Blender and everything like that, and do some of the stuff like I've seen it as Startaze and stuff like that. For some of the moments that I've had sitting at a desk with my friends and just rolling dice and coming up with weird storylines. My favorite of all time was the one time I got one over, and my character, the DM was usually really good about catching everything that you said. He was really, really good about catching everything that you said. And I was playing a character. I had been baited into playing a fighter, so I made the most outlandish character I possibly could. It was during Pathfinder campaign. Jax from Chillax. Jax from the nation of Chillaxian Pathfinder. I played him like a college frat boy. He was my revenge for always playing fighter. The most outlandish, over the top, completely overly privileged, naive, arrogant, everything. And the DM usually caught everything. He was great. He was wonderful. But when he was doing the big bad reveal, where he was revealing the big bad of a particular part of the story, I told him that my character was walking forward. He looked me dead in the eye when I said this. I told him my character's going to start walking forward because he was doing the evil villain monologue thing. And the monologue continued and continued. He had actually nodded at me when I said I was, Jax is moving toward him. Jax is moving towards this Naga. And then I said, okay, am I on him? The DM was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I was moving forward the entire time. And everybody was like, yeah, you didn't stop him. You didn't say anything. And it's like, the DM was like, I didn't? Okay, what do you do? And Jax was one of those characters that I played with a particular mindset in mind. When they found him, because I was brought into this game. And they had the person that was playing the tank of the game had to go on deployment, and they brought me in, I gotta play a fighter. So they go into the tavern, and on the adventurers board in the tavern, there was a single advertisement for a person looking for an adventurer. And on that adventuring group thing, I told the DM what I put on, because when he used this as kind of to bring in characters, because we had people coming and going, in between times and stuff like that. But I told him on there, Jack's far left corner of the bar, of the tavern, and the tagline was, as far as what he would bring to the table, I hit things really fucking hard. That was it. Jax from Chillax, who wore the Chillaxian flag on his back, treated halflings and gnomes just so condescendingly, unintentionally. He only figured out after a couple of years that, you shouldn't talk down to people. He has been my favorite character, and I hated playing fighters. I hated playing fighters because I played them so often. But if somebody asked me, to come in and play a game right now and bring a character, just bring your favorite character that you ever played, revive them in the game. Jax has never died. Jax has been in 6 different times on 3 different worlds. And every single time he suffers a teleportation mishap. Because the first time that he ever quick drew, power attacked, power attack, and I think there were 2 other homebrew feats that I used to attack a Naga who was villain monologuing, and a spell that they had prepared just in case of such an event misfired. And Jax disappeared from the it was the stories of Jax from Chillax. They were favorites of mine. One of these days, I've got to play a game. Or I've got to run one. I just got to figure out how to get it done. Warpugs, thank you for joining me through this series. I hope I met some new pugs coming in because of this series. Massive nostalgia is what it is. All the JoCat links are going to be in the description down below, right next to my own. Please check them out. Check mine out as well. Check out the merch store, everything else like that. Join the channel as a Patreon or a member for early access, and I'll catch you guys next time. Memories.